Chapter 4. Up above the world so high. Then all at once they had reached the cloud, had burst through its low edges, and were tearing through the swirling grey. What had seemed to be a canopy of clouds sagging like wet canvas proved, as the flying broomstick speared into it, to be a whirling, tossing mass of lighted foam. The broomstick rode it like a sea, ripping soundlessly through the foggy eddies, while the mist streamed out behind like spindrift in a speedboat's wake. "Oh, Tib!" screamed Mary, and her words were whirled away to drown in the rushing cloud. "Tib, what shall we do? It's a witch's broom." There was no answer from Tib, and Mary, alarmed in case he had fallen in their mad flight upwards, twisted her head to look. This made the broomstick rock so violently that, terrified, she gave up the attempt, and concentrated all her attention on gripping the shaft of the broom with hands and knees. But out of the corner of her eye she had caught a glimpse of Tib, flattened along the broom twigs like a black slug, his claws driven deep into the wood, his green eyes blazing, and his black tail streaming behind like a pennant. Then suddenly, with a rush like a lift, they hurtled up out of the misty grey into the blazing sunshine. The broomstick, slackening speed, leveled off and began to cruise smoothly along over the upper surface of the cloud. Above them arched the immense and brilliant sky, and around, on every hand as far as the eye could reach, stretched a dazzle of cloud like a floor of living snow and tossing rainbow spray. Mary gasped with wonder, fear, and excitement, as her strange steed sailed easily across the sparkling floor of the sky, and I said nothing could happen. "But Tib, how on earth do we get down?" As if in reply, the broomstick veered slightly to the left, and Mary heard Tib spit with annoyance as a cloud slipped. Straight ahead towered a cumulus cloud, a thunderhead. It seemed to be bearing down upon them, slowly, like a majestic and enormous iceberg thrusting through piling floes. But between the white sea over which they sailed, and the flashing base of the thunderhead, Mary could glimpse a gulf, a great dark green gap in the cloud, like a chasm. Towards this, with a quiver that shook it from tip to bristles, the magic broomstick headed at an increasing rate. "Tib!" shrieked Mary. "Hang on. I think we're going down." "Oh." This last exclamation as the broomstick, with a sudden rush, flew straight out from the edge of cloud, over the green gulf that fell away below. Mary caught a glimpse, framed in a ring of cloud, of green country, silver-threaded with rivers, stretched like a map away beneath. Then the whole expanse veered, tilted, and swung up as the broomstick dropped its nose and went into a long dive. Down, 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 and the air tore the breath out of her body as she tried to crouch closer to the broomstick. Down, 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 and the green and silver map came rushing up to meet her, became green hills and curving rivers, became woods and fields and hedgerows, became copses and trees and banks of flowers, till presently she was sailing past the leafy treetops, and the broomstick, leveling out once more, ran at a rapidly dwindling speed above the hedges of a curling lane. The hedge on the left gave way to a high wall with a gate in it, a huge gate flanked by pillars where stone griffins ramped. The gate was shut, but the little broomstick sailed easily over it, missed the griffin's upraised paw by about 6 inches, then cruised across the wooded park towards a distant glimpse of chimneys at the end of the long driveway. Soon Mary could see the house clearly. It was a biggish building which looked as if it had once been a castle. It was built of grey stone, and had battlements, but in places it had been mended with red brick, and the top of the biggest tower had been taken off and replaced with a glass dome shaped like an onion, while yet another tower had a flat roof with something jutting from it that looked uncommonly like a diving board. In the center of the main block of the building was a wide flight of steps leading up to a big door. To one side of this center block stretched a lower wing of buildings. These were 1 story high and looked modern. On the other side, the right as they approached, was what looked like the old stableyard. This was a cobbled courtyard green with weeds, surrounded by stables and coach house, and approached from the park by an arched tunnel crowned with a clock tower where a gilded weathercock spun in an agitated manner, as if, thought Mary, the little broomstick were a magnet, and its approach set a compass needle spinning. The broomstick banked to avoid the clock tower, skimmed the coach house roof, then sank smoothly down to a perfect landing. Somewhere, excitedly, a cock was crowing. Mary's feet went thankfully out to either side to touch the solid earth. "Oh, Tib," she began again, but never finished the sentence, because the little broomstick proceeded, quite methodically, to buck her off. At the first buck Tib sprang, with a startled hiss, to the ground. At the second Mary, flying through the air, landed with a thump on the weedy cobbles, right at the feet of a little man who, from his seat on an ancient mounting block, had watched the whole proceeding with a complete lack of surprise.